What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Shout out to the Elite Fleet. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can become a member of the Elite Fleet. And this is not going to be a long video because we're in a heat wave right now, so it's hot as a bit out here. But I haven't made a social commentary video in a while. There just hasn't really been much that I wanted to commentate on. My social commentary, though, is some of those most popular videos on my channel. And now is a good time to get back into that because Donald Trump got y'all all shaken up with this strike on Iran. All right, and let me tell you guys something. There is no reason to be worried about this. There's no reason to be worried about this attack in Iran. Y'all talking about some retaliation. Let me tell you guys something. If you've never heard of it before, I want you to look up MAD. MAD is an acronym for Mutually Assured Destruction. What does Mutually Assured Destruction mean, Alex? Quite simply, just to simplify it to its smallest core, all countries are smart enough to realize that if companies that have WMDs, and by countries that have WMDs, I mean countries that have weapons of mass destruction, real weapons of mass destruction, because understand, Iran doesn't have any real weapons of mass destruction. Iraq does not have any real weapons of mass destruction. Afghanistan does not have any real weapons of mass destruction. If they did, they would have already attacked. They would have attacked the U.S. a long time ago. They would have attacked a lot of people a long time ago because there's always war in the Middle East. War in the Middle East is not new. There is always war in the Middle East. You can go all the way back to the early days on the planet, the Holy Wars and the Crusades. All right, you got Jerusalem over there. There's a whole bunch of land. There's a whole bunch of oil. There's a whole bunch of money to be made in the Middle East. So they're always at war. So if these dudes had weapons of mass destruction, they would have been attacked America. They don't because they can't. So anyways, going back to MAD, MAD basically states that all countries know, without saying it, that if countries that had true WMDs, which is weapons of mass destruction, ever got into a fight with each other, it would basically wipe each other out, right? This is why the Cold War between America and Russia stayed a Cold War and nothing ever happened. This is why you very rarely to never see America talking about launching an attack on North Korea or launching an attack on China. And you're not going to, because they would know if we start firing off these nukes and missiles, we will literally destroy each other. We wipe each other out. So it's not beneficial. It's not smart. It doesn't make sense. What you guys have to understand is the world powers, right? They're bullies. Like, that's what it comes down to. They're bullies. Russia just wants to bully Ukraine because they feel like they can. America likes to bully the Middle East when they want to, right? They have different reasons for it. Sometimes it's about oil. Sometimes it's about money. Sometimes it's a little deeper than both of that or a combination of all three. But at the end of the day, the powers that be, right? The world powers, right? Like, like I said, Russia, the United States, China, Great Britain, stuff like that, France. These countries just go around and bully the smaller countries. They don't really want beef with each other like that. That's why we haven't had a world war forever. Now, I do think that there is the possibility that we could be on the cusp of a world war. It would take me like an hour to explain all that to you guys, but I don't think this strike in Iran is getting us any closer to there being a world war. And people worry about, they're going to retaliate. What are we going to do when they're going to retaliate? They can't retaliate. Listen, they fired off missiles today. When they fired off the missiles, they got intercepted. The reason they attacked U.S. bases, now I will say this, if you are a soldier, then I can understand your concern. Now, if you are a soldier, I told the soldiers a long time ago, back in my older social commentary videos, I was like, look, if you're in the military and you went to the military to finesse the military for benefits, unless you're really about the military and your patriotism and you really want to fight for this country, I told people 4 years ago, you should be trying to find a way out the military. You should just be making yourself inactive, or if you got any type of disability or something like that, find a way out of the military because it's been too long since we've been at war and they're going to start a war, right? Again, we're on the possible cusp of a World War III. But I knew there was going to be some type of war coming up. Like, you could kind of tell. There was going to be some type of a war coming up. So I'm just like, look, you guys got to understand, now is the time to get out before things get turned up to the next level, right? Before we do invade Iran or we invade Afghanistan or we just poke our heads in some business that we don't have no need of poking our head in. I think that we might be on the cusp of a third world war, right? But I knew at some point we were going to invade something and they were going to deploy the military. So I'm like, you should get out right now. So if you've been following this channel, you would have already been gone. Because I always call these things. Just like I told you guys when Biden got elected, he wasn't going to cancel student loan debt. He couldn't cancel student loan debt. And he finessed y'all. What happened? He got elected. He didn't cancel student loan debt. You got some people who will be out here talking about but Alex, he canceled it for some people. Some people's student loan debt always gets canceled. All you got to do is work for the government to get your student loan debt forgiven. So what does some people's student loan debt getting canceled have to do with anything? At the end of the day, 90% of people still have their student loan debt. And that was always going to be a thing. Right? So I told y'all that was going to happen. I also told y'all that I was not voting in the election because I didn't personally like either one of the candidates, but I knew Donald Trump was going to win. Right? And I also told y'all 4 years ago, we're going to be involved in some type of a major war. I was hoping that it wasn't World War III. I'm still hoping that it wasn't World War III. But I advised you found the way to get out of the military because I knew there was going to be some type of a war on the horizon. Now, listen. America might just strike over there. They said they blew up some nuclear plants where they were planning on making weapons of mass destruction. That's not the real reason that they attacked. I could give you guys 16 different reasons of why they might have actually attacked. I'm not, because I don't really know why they actually attacked. I just know it has nothing to do with WMDs. There's no WMDs in Iran. If Iran could strike American soil, they would have struck American soil a long time ago. The Coast Guard not trying to hear that, and they don't really have weapons that are capable of just launching over here. It'll get intercepted. They get cooked. They don't want beef. They don't want to fight. The world powers are diplomats for the most part. And I will say this, even if there was a World War III, because I know some idiot going to come in the comments, they probably still going to do it anyway. Alex, you said countries that are world powers and have weapons of mass destruction generally agree not to fight because they worried about wiping each other out. If there was a World War III, no one's letting off nukes. No one is letting off nukes. They would just find some ragged, rundown ass country. I hate to say it like that because all countries matter. But they would find some ragged, rundown ass country and they would do the majority of the fighting there, and they would basically sacrifice soldiers until someone got tired of sacrificing soldiers, or a side got tired of sacrificing soldiers, and then they would call the end of a war. But you still wouldn't see any WMDs being let off, right? And again, the potential of World War III would be more about money and power leveraging than anything else. But again, I'm not telling you guys for sure. I do think that it may happen, but I didn't know for sure that we were going to start a war with somebody soon. That I didn't know. That's why that's all that I spoke to. That's why I just advised you get out of the military. Because if you're in the military, again, are they going to strike America? No. But can they strike Americans who are overseas? Absolutely. Can they strike American bases overseas? Absolutely. But they're not going to strike America. And I can put this video up comfortably. Some people might be like, oh, this is bad karma. You putting this video up, and they might come over here and strike. Listen, I don't even live that far from D.C. So you guys got to understand, I'm from New York, and I don't live that far from D.C. So I'm in two hot spots. If we get struck, they going to strike New York, or they going to strike D.C. Now, where else they going to strike? They not going to strike nowhere. They're going to strike New York, D.C., or L.A. Because they want to do something big, off the coast of California or something. So I'm in a hot spot regardless, and I'm safe. Listen, I'm comfortable, baby. I slept like a baby last night. I'm gonna sleep like a baby tonight, and y'all should be too. Stay out of politics and semantics. You never really know why these people are doing what they're doing. You got people running around, oh, it's because of Trump. We should have got Kamala, as if Democrats don't mess around in the Middle East too. Democrats been messing around in the Middle East the whole time. The whole time we are sliding weapons over to Ukraine just to keep that war going. There's a lot of politics that go on behind the scenes. But as far as being afraid of retaliation from Iran, and you live in America, and Donald Trump's your president, you ain't got to worry about no Iran, man. Come on now. Miss me with all that type. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen over here. Now again, prayers up to our brothers and sisters who are in the military service, especially because I personally think now our military is very goofy. We have a very goofy military now, in my opinion. So prayers up for them, and I hope everything works out. But if you're here, you're fine. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. So stop crashing out. I didn't even need to make this video 20 minutes. I could have went more in depth with a lot of the stuff that I was saying. But my main point here is calm down. Stop crashing out. Iran's not about that life. At the end of the day. Most of the major power countries in the world, they're just bullies. They're not really trying to fight nobody who can hit back. So look up, man. Understand what I'm saying to you, and calm down, sit down, hold on, and relax. With that being said, y'all, that's my thoughts on that. I am Alex, and I am out. Peace.